For over 20 years, the Fast and Furious franchise has been a box office juggernaut. And you might think the secret is just the insane stunts or the theme of family, but the real magic, it's the unbreakable bond between the characters and their cars. See, these machines are way more than just transportation. They're basically extensions of their souls. And today, we're going to break down exactly how.
To really get the impact, you have to picture this. It's 2001. The first movie hits theaters, and it's not just a film, it's a signal flare. Just like Scott Evans from Motor Trend said, the culture on screen spilled right out into the real world. Suddenly, theater parking lots were turning into these massive impromptu car shows. The movie didn't just show the culture, it became the culture. See, you gotta ask, right? How on earth did a relatively small movie about street racers in LA turn into one of the biggest franchises in movie history? Well, the secret sauce wasn't just the explosions. It's all about how they treated the cars. That brings us to the core idea here. This was about so much more than just cars. The filmmakers understood something absolutely crucial from the very beginning. This story wasn't just about people who happened to drive cars, it was about what those cars mean. This was the philosophy from day one. For these characters, a car is freedom. The chance to live your life, as Dom says, a quarter mile at a time. It's also a canvas, a way to express yourself. But the big one, the most important one, is that it's a direct extension of who you are. It's a mirror reflecting your values, your history, your entire identity.
And look, this wasn't some hidden secret. The production team said it flat out. The cars were treated with the exact same level of importance as the human actors. Think about it. They were cast for their roles just as carefully as Vin Diesel or Paul Walker were. And there is absolutely no better example of this than the patriarch of the whole franchise himself, Dominic Toretto. And of course, the car that's basically become his middle name. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Dennis McCarthy, the genius who's been building the cars for the franchise for years, he confirms it himself. He says the '70 Dodge Charger isn't just a car Dom drives. In so many ways, that car is Dom. It's a living, breathing character in the story. You see it perfectly in that iconic scene where Dom first shows the Charger to Brian. He doesn't start listing off specs or 0 to 60 times, no. He talks about its soul. He calls it a beast, something powerful and terrifying. And then, the knockout punch, me and my dad built her. That car is his entire history, his pain and his power, all welded into one machine. So the Charger is basically Dom in automotive form. It represents everything about him. His deep connection to family legacy, that raw, almost scary power he has, the heritage of American muscle, and yeah, that undeniable intimidation factor. You can't separate the man from the machine. Now, to really understand Dom, you have to look at the other side of the coin. If Dom is the immovable object of pure American muscle, then Brian O'Connor is the irresistible force of the import tuner scene. He's the import king. And right from the very beginning, that contrast was the beating heart of the movie. As Dennis McCarthy points out, when you think of this franchise, two cars immediately pop into your head: Dom's Charger and Brian's Supra. They stand for two completely different worlds, two different philosophies, and two different guys who were destined to clash. I mean, just look at how Brian's Supra is introduced. Dom's car was a beast. Brian's car? It's a spaceship. That one word tells you everything you need to know. It's not about old-school brute force. It's about technology, precision, something sleek and new. This car, which he literally builds from a wreck, becomes Brian's way in, his proof that the outsider can hang with the king. And when you put them side by side, it's just crystal clear. Dom's Charger is all about American muscle, raw brute force, and a family legacy. He's the patriarch defending his turf. Brian's Supra is the opposite. It's JDM tuner precision, an outsider proving his worth. He's the contender. I mean, their cars literally tell you their entire story. And this whole philosophy of car casting wasn't something they saved just for the main two guys. Oh no, this extended to the entire crew, making sure every single person had the perfect ride for their personality. Just take Roman Pierce, for example. I mean, could you picture him in anything other than something loud, flashy, and maybe a little ridiculous? Of course not. And that's why they put him in that purple convertible. The car builder himself said it was exactly what Roman would want. It's loud, it screams, look at me, it's pure Roman. Okay, then you've got Luke Hobbs. How do you find a car for a guy who's basically a human freight train? Well, as the movies got bigger, going from street racing to saving the world, the cars had to evolve too. You can't put Hobbs in a sports car. No, you give him a military-grade battering ram on wheels. The Gurkha isn't about style. It's about being a completely unstoppable force of nature, just like Hobbs. Letty's car choices are just as revealing. They almost always put her in some kind of Mopar muscle, like a Dodge Challenger, and that's no accident. It connects her directly to Dom's world, to his roots. It shows her loyalty, her history, and the fact that she's a serious gearhead in her own right. She's not just Dom's partner. She is a core part of that American muscle heritage. So this deep, authentic approach to car culture, it had a real-world effect that was just massive. It didn't just stay in the movie theater. It spilled right out from the screen and onto the streets. How massive, you ask? Well, get this. The companies that made the aftermarket parts seen in the movie, companies like Sparco, Greddy, nitrous oxide systems, they reported sales increases of over 1,000%. 1,000! The movie's authenticity made everybody want to go out and build their own 10-second car. And here's a wild little story that shows just how powerful the movie's influence was. It literally changed how people talked. The company NOS, which stands for nitrous oxide systems, found that after the movie, everybody started calling their product NASS, just like the characters did. The movie actually renamed their product in the real world. And all of this builds up to the true legacy of the Fast and Furious movies. It's a bond that's so strong, so real, that the line between the car, the character, and even the actor, well, it starts to get pretty blurry. This became tragically and beautifully clear after the passing of Paul Walker during the filming of Furious 7. The filmmakers were left with an impossible task. How do you say goodbye? They decided to rewrite the ending to give both the character, Brian, and the actor, Paul, the farewell they deserved. And this is where it all comes full circle. In that final, heartbreaking drive, Dom is in his Charger, and Brian pulls up next to him in a white Supra. But here's the thing that just gets you. As Dennis McCarthy later revealed, that wasn't just a movie prop. That white Supra was from Paul Walker's personal collection. In that one moment, fiction and reality just merged. It was Dom saying goodbye to Brian, and it was Vin saying goodbye to Paul, communicated through the two cars that started their entire journey. So it really all comes down to this one question. By making cars so much more than just cars, by making them true extensions of character, did Fast and Furious manage to create a bond that could truly never be broken? A bond between the characters, the actors, and all of us watching, forged in steel, oil, and a whole lot of heart. It's something to think about.